Hello, everybody. Welcome to our March podcast audits. Let me tell you something real funny about me. I talk about podcasting. I teach about podcasting. I podcast about podcasting. I create videos, YouTube videos, all the things about podcasting. And I kind of lost my voice yesterday. And I freaked out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do anything in my business, anything in my life if I cannot speak? It freaked me out a little bit. But I'm better today. I don't sound like a man. I like legit, my kids will always, I'm usually in my office first thing in the morning and they'll come in and be like, hey mom, good morning. And that's just usually where you find me at, 6 o'clock in the morning. And my oldest son came in and he was like, good morning, mom. This was yesterday. And I was like, good morning. No, he was like, you sound like a man. I was like, yeah, I know. This is not good. So I had something going on. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I feel better today. I'm not 100% like up to par with my throat being better, but it is way better than it was yesterday. I promise you. It was really weird to try not to speak, try not to like all the things. It was just like, it was bad. I think that I had so much excitement about speaking at Podcast Movement earlier this week. I did Podcast Movement University. Sorry, my chair is behind me and I feel like it's a death trap. I feel like it's just waiting. It's just waiting for me to like step back and I'm going to trip over my chair and it's going to be a whole thing. I got a new camera recently and I'm still trying to figure out all the things because I'm standing up today. I typically don't stand up, but I do I don't know. I have a little bit more energy. I like a little bit more, pizzazz when I'm standing up to do these. But I also, the setup is really different. So I'm trying to get used to it. But we are here for the monthly podcast audits. So tell me where you're watching in the comments. I didn't get a chance beforehand to let everybody know, hey, you won. And, I'm going to, audit your podcast today. But you will be able to catch the replay on YouTube and in our free Facebook group. You'll be able to see, but it is Amy Linsmeyer from the Roots Change podcast. So shout out, Amy. I hope that you're here able to watch us live. If not, I'm going to tag you in it and make sure that you can see all the things that we talked about here today with your podcast. And then the other one is someone I'm not familiar with in our community. So I'm so happy that you submitted your podcast to be audited. And it is for the Dingle Days, which is Dogs Are People to the Dingle Days podcast. So I'm really excited. We're doing 2 podcasts. So if you are brand new to me or to these podcast audits, then I'm just going to give you a little quick rundown of like how these work and how you can apply to do this next month. Because we already have April's date. Hang on. Oh, wait. My calendar's covered up. Hang on. I have a wall calendar, but I was doing some planning yesterday and I have one of those big easels, like the big Post-it notes that you can stick on the wall. It's totally covering my entire calendar right now. So hang on, let me get my electronic calendar. My husband still, he cracks up at me. He's like, really? Like you got to have all the calendars and the planners? And it's like, yes, I have to have all the calendars because they all serve different purposes. So if you did not get a chance, you did not get picked for April's audits, like our podcast audits that we're doing right now. These are all free, by the way. People that were chosen, they just applied and I selected them. But the next ones for April will be Thursday, April 8th. So go into your calendar, whichever kind of calendar you use, and mark April 8th for the next time we're going to have these audits, and then you can submit to have your podcast audited as well. So I'm seeing a bunch of comments. Yeah, glad your voice is better. Yeah, Kathy witnessed some of it on Tuesday. It was kind of getting a little scratchy, and then I did the one thing you're not supposed to do when you're starting to get a little itch in your throat. I went outside, took the kids to the park, and it was crazy windy on Tuesday. So I feel like something with the Texas weather just blew in on Tuesday and got all this like congestion, but I'm feeling a lot better. Yes, excited to hear the audits today. So happy that you're here, Kathy, live. Yes. Awesome, Mike. I love that you're watching from Ireland. I'm so happy. I'm guessing it's probably afternoon where you are. I don't know if it's mid to late afternoon, but we're happy that you're here. It could even be evening. Y'all, if y'all saw me the other day doing my time zone conversions, I'm just now good with converting from Central to Eastern to Pacific. Like besides that, I'm terrible. I heavily rely on like the worldclock.com time zone converters because I'm not good. Yay, Amy. Yes. Amy's going to get her podcast audited today. Just joined the group like 20 minutes ago. This is solid gold. Awesome, Mike. Yes, I'm so happy that you're here. You'll have to let me know after this is over what you thought about our audits, but basically, I explained a little bit of it before, but we have a Google form. It's kind of like our intake form where you apply and you can submit artwork, an audio file, or if you have a Google Doc or a PDF that you want to submit that's maybe like your launch strategy or your launch plan, I invite you to apply next time because this is really cool. I'm glad that you're joining us because we're doing the newest version of the audits where I'm sharing some really cool behind the scenes things that not everybody knows about. So I'm excited about this. Yeah. All right. Dan's in the house with his little smiley face emoji. So happy that you're here, Dan. This is going to be so fun. Okay. So we are going to start with Amy's podcast simply because I said her name first and that is the one we're going to go with. So Amy, if you're watching live, tell me in the comments. That way we can kind of have a little back and forth. And y'all, next time I'm going to be so much better about telling everybody that won. But because the way that everything like it ended on Tuesday, like all the things. This is still a work in progress. This is the third month that we've done these, but I'm getting awesome feedback that y'all are loving these audits. So I'm going to get better our processes and workflows. So next time I will notify everybody that won the audit because that would be super helpful, right? Okay. So Amy has the podcast Roots Change. And last time I was able to put up like her podcast artwork in a really cool way. But this time I'm actually going to show you from Chartable. So if you've never heard of Chartable, it's, let me see. I'm going to actually just go to their site and I'm going to share this with you. Give me 1 second. Okay. I removed it. There we go. So Amy has the Roots Change podcast and this is her artwork right here. I did something really cool last time where I had like the little picture in the corner where I'm going to make it happen next time. I didn't get a chance to make it happen this time. But it's going to happen next time. Absolutely. Oh, Kurt's in the house. Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri. So happy. Okay, so it's 4:36 p.m. Awesome. So you're not groggy. You're not tired. You're not like just about to go to sleep, Mike. I'm glad in Ireland it's still like a great time to pay attention. Oh, okay, awesome. Yes, Amy is here. She's here. And I mean, your profile picture was just prepping you for everything that's going to happen today. Like you're ready. You are so ready for this to happen. I'm so excited, y'all. These are so much fun for me. I wish that we would have been doing these a long time ago because I think that they offer a lot of value for brand new podcasters because even if yours didn't get chosen, from what I was told last time, everybody still learned a lot from the last time we did this. So I'm trying to, my screen is doing something funky. My camera's in the way, y'all. I'll get it together. I'll get it together one day. I mean, it's Thursday. I should already have my shiitake together, but I don't. It's okay. Yay, Amy's excited. I'm glad Kathy tagged me and she said, I'm here. Okay, so Amy, if at any point you have any questions, let me know. We're going to do just a quick overview. I want everybody to know what your podcast is about. I wanted to look at your artwork and I wanted to look at your podcast on Chartable because everybody really enjoyed this whenever I did a deep dive on Chartable last time. So if you're brand new, here is Chartable. This is what it is. This is what it's all about. I use Chartable in many different ways, but my favorite way to use it is a great marketing tool. I don't use it for statistics. They'll give you, oh, you want your stats. This is how many times your podcast was downloaded and like all those things. But I prefer to rely on my hosting provider, which is Buzzsprout. I rely on their stats because they have the IAB certification, which is basically just a fancy way of saying those are going to be your truest stats. Some of the other stats that are out there may be a little watered down with some bots or just, other stats that may not actually be listeners. And so Buzzsprout just does a great job of making sure that you have the ones that are true to form. And so I don't use Chartable for my stats. I just want to make that clear because I get that question a lot, and I rely on Buzzsprout. But what I like is you can come here and get a great picture, right? Which you, as the host of your podcast, you should have the original file. But I know that whenever there's some collaborations, like if you're going to be on someone else's podcast and you wanted to promote their show, this is a great way to come and get their artwork as opposed to like taking a screenshot on your phone and trying to get it to work that way. But Amy, I love your artwork. I think it's super cute. I think it's very simple. And so I'm going to read what Amy has here, and then we're going to go into what she actually submitted on her application. So I hate to be the one to break the news, but you've been bamboozled. This is great copywriting, like right off the bat. This is good. Those lines we've been fed, the ones that put limitations on our own worth, what we can achieve in life, how far we can go, what we do or don't deserve, total garbage. You, my friend, are very talented with the copywriting. Okay, it's safe to say not every listener has been spoon-fed that baloney by their past, the trauma caused by their past or the people in it, but it's safe to say a great deal of you have. This message is for you. You're actually not stuck. Even if your circumstances can't change right now, you can. I'm Amy, a certified life coach, and more importantly, so I don't know if the rest of this will populate on the different players, like on Apple Podcast or whatever, but Amy, I love this. I think that this is a fantastic episode or podcast description that gets your listeners hooked in immediately. Someone can say, oh, this is me, or, oh, I don't know if this podcast is for me. I'm going to keep reading on. And I think that that's really, really important when someone first comes across your show, right? Because your current listeners, they love you already. They're listening. They may not ever read your podcast description, but what you want to have is that attention grabbing headline, which is exactly what like all of this is. I mean, I guess I'm saying headline, but I'm really meaning the description. You know what I'm talking about. You know. Yes. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Yes. Dan's cheering you on. This is so good. So good. Because I think, I don't know. I don't know if these are your brand colors with the green and the pink, but they look really well and they actually pop off the page super, super well. So there are some other things in her audit application that I want to share with you. So let me go back out. And everybody shared their email and stuff. So that's why I took it down. I'm not hiding anything from y'all. People probably would appreciate me keeping their email. Okay, so what's our topic? Personal development. We saw that from there in Chartable. Now, her ideal listener is Roots Change is targeted towards women who have experienced various struggles in their life, trauma, and are taking an interest in their personal growth. They appreciate the transparency and honest feedback on what to expect and how to grow through various parts of their journey. So Amy, in you giving me your audience description and actually reading your podcast description, those are totally aligned. I 100% got that from how you talk about your show in your podcast description. Have you launched your podcast? Yes, she has. And then I ask, why are you submitting your podcast to be audited? Let me know anything else that's going on, kind of if there's anything else you want me to know. She says tomorrow, and I'm assuming that was either today or yesterday. I guess it would have been Wednesday. Tomorrow, my 7th podcast is published, and I'm super proud of what I've done so far, but would love the perspective of someone who can help me understand how to best leverage the podcast as not just a resource, but a marketing tool, an unbiased perspective. Okay, so you want to help you understand how to best leverage the podcast as not just a resource, but a marketing tool. So Amy, since you're here, tell me in the comments Are you talking about a marketing tool for your business? Like, are you selling coaching services? Are you selling a product? Are you selling a course? Like, tell me in the comments what you're talking about when you're saying, like, you don't want it to just be something people listen to. You want it to be something that is a great marketing tool. I want to make sure that I'm understanding exactly what kind of advice you're looking for here so I can steer you in the right direction. Yes. And then she also submitted an audio file, which we're listening to as well. Okay, so it was so hard to submit the audio file. I had to cut the middle. Oh no. Well, we'll have to see what was going on. Was it logistically hard to submit it? Is that what you're saying? Like it was too long? You had to cut some of that out. I'm terrible at my calls to action. That's okay. That's why you're here. This is why you're here, right? You're here to get better at it. Don't say like I'm terrible. Just say I'm learning to get better at my calls to action. Okay. Like I'm a glass half full kind of girl and I don't focus on the things that we're terrible at. I say, oh, I'm still trying to get better at my calls to action. I haven't mastered my calls to action yet. Okay. We're going to flip it around. We're going to flip the script. So, okay. So she's selling her coaching services, but more importantly, getting people on my email list. Okay. So you want to use it as a marketing tool. You don't just want it to be a resource. You want it to be kind of the entry point. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is going to be really funny. I have a fun illustration that I want to share with you real fast. Hang on, because you will find this helpful. Hopefully you will find this helpful. The only thing is you cannot make fun of me for my elementary drawing because that's what I feel like it is. So if you are brand new to me, y'all, I literally do so much stuff in these notebooks. If y'all have been around here for a while, you're like, oh, here goes Crystal again with her notebooks. It's what I do, guys. It's what I do. But I have this. Okay. So marketing advice. Okay. This is our marketing funnel. Hang on. Let me take this off. Yes, the entry point. Look at you coaching me. Yes, I'm coaching the coach on the marketing stuff because this is my jam. Okay, so she's saying the entry point. So this is a funnel. Okay, this is our marketing funnel. And I created this. Yes, Kathy already knows. So Kathy's a member of the Potty People. This is my monthly podcast membership. And I did a whole deep dive training on my marketing funnel and how I use my podcast strategically in my business. So I love that Kathy's like, yes, it's the picture. Kathy knows. I'm a little embarrassed, y'all. This is so funny. Okay. But y'all, this is legit. Like I need to create a graphic, but this works. This is where my cheerleading, like I used to make those big banners that like the football players would run through. And I did a lot of sketching and stuff. So that's where all that comes in. So you have your cold traffic. This is your podcast episode, social media, SEO. Like this is all cold. This is when people do not know you and they are just getting introduced to who you are. Then you jump down into the warm traffic. So this could be your free content. This is your opt-ins on your email list or like trying to get people on your email list, your free Facebook group, and Facebook ads. Now I say free content for Facebook ads, even though you're paying for that, most likely what you're offering is free or a low ticket. And then we jump down into lead magnets and paid traffic. This is your red hot traffic. Like this is people like getting ready to buy from you, your programs, your services, whatever you're offering. And then this is when we talk about lava. Okay. So lava is when you've gotten people from they're cold, then they're a little bit warmer, then they're red hot, and then they turn into lava here at the bottom. And I like doing this like Hawaii kind of thing that goes with lava. Because when people are lava, that means they love what you do so much that it spreads. They start telling other people. So when you think about your funnel, like I wanted to have the visual representation because most likely a lot of you are up here with your podcast episodes until you get your free lead magnet that leads people to your email list that hopefully leads them down the customer journey of being a customer. They're going to buy things from you. So when you think about your podcast resources, and a lot of people ask me, well, what do I put in my podcast? Can I put stuff from my course or my coaching services? Do I tell people, do I kind of give away some of the good stuff? And I say, yes, you don't have to give it all away though. If you are a student of mine, if you are a profit podcasting student, you will notice some of the information that I give away in my podcast, you will find in my course, but not all of it. And I don't go as deep with my podcast listeners as I do with the people that pay me, whether it's my clients, my students, or members of my community. Like, they get the good stuff. My podcast listeners, I'm just trying to get them to see me as a resource. So like you said, you don't just want to be a resource, you want to use it as a marketing tool. I get that, but also you have to establish yourself as their go-to resource, right? Your listeners, whenever they think about coaching or mindset, or like you said, helping them through trauma or dealing with hard circumstances, your podcast or you as a coach should be the first thing that pops into their mind. And if it's not, then that's okay. You just have a little bit more marketing to do, whether it's social media, email list, whatever it is behind the scenes. But your podcast at the top of the funnel should be information that gets them to know you, like you, and trust you, but also think of you whenever they start saying, man, I could really use some help with XYZ, like something that you could do on your podcast. What? I'm getting all these phone calls, all these spam phone calls. Do y'all get spam calls all the time? It drives me nuts. Yes, I'm looking for lava. I love lava. I love a lava. Okay. Do y'all watch the Disney short films? This is a side tangent. I love the lava one. It's my favorite. I don't remember what movie it was originally in, like it was Dory or what it was, but the lava one is my absolute favorite. So if you have Disney Plus, yes, go in there and check it out because it's so good. So good. Okay, so Amy, I hope that helped with understanding how to market it better or use it as a marketing tool. But the last thing I'll say about that, and then we're going to listen to your audio file, and I hope that this works. Okay, fingers crossed, because y'all are going to have to tell me if y'all can hear it, because I'll be able to hear it on my end, but I got to make sure that the audio translate to your end. But I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, so you have to talk about your email list freebie or resource or whatever it is that you're offering to them all the time. You're going to get so sick of saying this, and I know you're only 7 episodes in, so you can either use dynamic content if you have Buzzsprout, where you just add it in at the beginning or the end of your episode. If it's something that you're like, well, I'm just testing this out. I don't know if I'm going to use this resource long term, so I'm just going to kind of try it out. Use dynamic content for that. But if it's something that you're going to have over and over and over again, then I'm going to encourage you to bake it into every episode. Like, hey, by the way, if you're brand new around here, make sure you grab my free resource. Here's where it is. Here's where you can find it, and go download that because it could be really super, super helpful. Yeah. So talking is the hard part. I'll focus on that and create a funnel. Yes. And maybe that's what you need to do is first and foremost, just create, what does my customer journey look like? Do I have podcast episodes? Then I get them on my email list, and then I get them to sign up for, a free masterclass or something like that. And then eventually they become your paying customers. But the idea, like I said, is to get them to that lava level of, man, like, they are just customers for life. They're so bought in, and like they are spreading the word. So that's really the idea behind the lava. Okay, so y'all are gonna have to tell me in the comments. We are gonna listen to this, and we're gonna hope that it works. We're gonna hope that it works. I'm gonna go full screen for a second, and y'all tell me if y'all can hear this. Oh no, why is it saying there's a problem? I don't need to download it. Okay, hang on. See? Real time, live video. This is what happens. Let's see. Let's see if this will work. Okay, y'all can still see my screen. Okay.
One of the many things I do as a
Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that?
others, even to me. I get it. The facts, circumstances, and all the valid reasons that we list to not do the thing don't actually sound I typed up the intro, I immediately tensed up. I had to stand and do a few stretches. Honestly, I'm still doing a few moves in my seat to loosen up my shoulders as I continue to piece together what I want to say. I know how hard facing excuses head on can feel, especially when you're not ready to acknowledge all of those valid reasons you've been listing are in fact excuses you've been protecting. To this day, my default is probably defensive when it comes to an excuse being pointed out by someone else. I want to challenge the validity of what they're trying to tell me. So I get it. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation. Because I want people to not just survive. I want you to thrive. And the only...
Okay, this is really, really good. Okay, so I know y'all were saying you really couldn't hear it. Sorry about that. I know I've got to figure out another way. I think I'm going to have to get like a music interface thing that will allow me to play this and this. Like I'm going to have to talk to Mel. She's my go-to expert on all things live streaming and how things can work. So I'll have to figure that out. But Amy, first and foremost, it sounded awesome. I thought it sounded great. I loved your intro at the beginning. Well, now you're going to have issues hearing me because I'm going all over the place. But I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. I thought that your music was awesome. The only recommendation that I would have is turning the music slightly down because it was almost overpowering your voice. So if you're in Hindenburg or Audacity or whatever you use, turn the gain down just a little bit on your music, or perhaps turn the volume up just slightly on your voice. That way it's not totally overpowering what you're doing. But I thought that the intro was awesome. It was very to the point. I think that you're talking very naturally, and I mean, it just sounded like you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing. And I felt motivated just listening to the first part of it. So yeah. Oh my gosh, that made me all the goosey Jess nerves. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, so this was really, really good. I was wondering too, I think at the end I did a better job at music volume. Yeah, and this is something that you will just kind of pick up on after a while. And I was just listening, like this was coming through my computer speakers, okay? This is not how I listen to podcasts. I will have in my AirPods, I will have, my big microphone, my big headphones on if I was listening, but I wanted everybody to hear. So it could sound totally different, but just in like listening to that little piece, that's the only recommendation I would have. Other than that, your audio is great. I think that your audio is awesome. And I'd be curious to know what kind of microphone you're using, because it's what people always want to know is, well, what kind of microphone are y'all using? What is the best? And I'm all over the place. I have so many different microphones. So awesome. Amy, this is fantastic. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments. I do know that you said something back here. I have a few opt-ins. I just don't ever know which to use. Thank you, though. I've been wrestling with dynamic content. Just pull the trigger and do it. Yeah. So for your dynamic content, just try something out and go back to... I'm trying to think how long, if that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I did a podcast episode all about a podcast ads template. And I want you to go listen to that and see how you can create a template to use in your dynamic content and be able to create an ad that's super simple. And you're just like, hey, this is my podcast. Here is how I create it. Here are my podcast. Here's my free resource. Here's why it's good for you. And here's where you can find it. So go listen to that if you need help on what to actually say, because there's a whole template of what to say in the podcast ads template podcast. Okay. Yeah. Kurt says success. We can hear. Okay. I'm glad that we finally got that working. I'll have to figure this out. Okay. So she got the Fine, probably the USB microphone. Yeah. So Amy is a student for Profit Podcasting. And I'm super proud of you. This is awesome. This is so awesome. So I just got real nervous because I'm getting a notification that my camera is going to die. And I'm like, what? What's happening? So if my camera goes off all of a sudden, no worries. We'll we'll go with like a blank screen for a second and I'll switch to my webcam. But I want to get through the next podcast that we have to audit because it is the Dingle Days, Dogs Are People Too, the Dingle Days podcast. So this is how the information was submitted to me, but it actually, let me go here on Chartable. Okay, that's where we're going to start. Actually, Amy, I did not go through your Chartable for Roots Change, so I'm going to do that real fast. Real fast. Bear with me. Bear with me. See, this is what happens when we do real live video with a camera that's going to die soon. That's awesome. Awesome. Because this was the other thing I was going to tell you all about Chartable. So if you're looking for nice review, like aesthetics, I like the way that they look on here. And I will simply take a screenshot of what it looks like. Oh, here, let me take this off. This is still Amy's podcast. I will take a screenshot of what this looks like and then save it to my Google Drive. And then I have really nice looking reviews as opposed to just a screenshot from my phone. So this was the other thing that I was going to say. But yeah, this is awesome. And then you can also see all the episodes that are on Chartable if you're going to look at someone else's show. So awesome job, Amy. Thank you so much for submitting. And like I said, if y'all want to be in next month's April 8th, Thursday, April 8th is the next time we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to go full screen here. So dogs are people too. Y'all, this is so cute. I love this. I love this so much already. I don't know what this symbol is up here, but I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I wonder if that has something to do with y'all's logo or if that's like a certification. I don't know what that is, but I really like that. Okay, so dogs are people too. The Dingle Days podcast. And I am going to say this name incorrectly. I was going to say correctly, but incorrectly probably. So bear with me, but it's Gira. Is it Gira Dingle? Let me know if you're here in the comments. But learning canine scent work, pet photography, and pet technology can often be a grueling process for pet parents. Every other week, join Gira Dingle, filmmaker, YouTuber, and dog trainer as she reveals her best tips, strategies, and technologies that helped her furry friend best share in her life. Whether you want to learn more about novice canine performance sports, animal photography, or the best technology to fit your productive lifestyle, the Dogs Are People Too podcast is the podcast for you. I love this podcast so much already because it is so specific. There are other podcasts that I've seen out there that are for like just dog people, like dog lovers, like let's all just talk about our dogs and why we love them. And well, I think that's awesome. This is very specific, very, very specific. I actually have a friend who's a dog trainer and she would probably like this podcast because she does the performance sports, she does training, she does specifically hunting. They're duck retrievers. I think that's right. I don't know. I'm not a hunter, but she would be interested in something like this because it's very similar to what she does as well. So I think that this is very specific, very on point. I love that you have a picture of, I'm assuming that this is one of your dogs on the artwork. And I think that it's very, very clear that like who this would be for. The only critique I have on your artwork is right here. It does get a little hard to read people. So I would, and I recommended this to, I believe it was Jeff. Was it Jeff in the first round of audits where it was more about helping the letters pop off the screen? So I would almost recommend having like a background overlay right here. And I want you to, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Like, I don't know if you created this in Canva or someone created it for you, but right here, it gets just a little hard to read your text. So I'm wondering if you could brighten up the color. I think that the text is great, like in the spacing, like all the letters are spaced out very nice. But the people is just a little hard to read right here. Everything else is great. Everything else is really, really, really cool. So I'm going to go full screen again, and then we're going to go into the details of what the audit was that she submitted. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Labs or duck retrievers? Okay, so I know that she trains a lot. Not Gira, but my friend, she does train a lot of black labs. I do know that. Okay, so let's go up here. So the Dogs Are People 2 podcast. So what is your topic? Novice canine performance sports, animal photography, and the best pet technology to fit your productive lifestyle. We got that from her podcast description. The audience description is dog parents who want to learn about canine scent work, pet photography, or pet technology. We got that. It was very clear, very apparent in the podcast description. They've launched their podcast. And then I asked, why are you submitting your podcast to be audited? I'm looking for additional feedback on the intro for my show. Since my September 2020 launch, the format has not changed much, but I'm interested in your opinion as someone who's navigated this space much longer than I also subscribe to your channel and thinks it'd be an awesome way to engage. Awesome. Okay. So I have her clip pulled up and we're going to try this again. I'm going to see if I can play it from here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it so it downloads it. Maybe is it going to download it? Y'all, doing this in real time is always so fun. So fun.
You're listening to
Oh gosh. Now it's starting. There we go. Okay. I know y'all can't hear it. Hang on. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it like that. And I'm gonna move my mic and hopefully y'all can hear it. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all can't hear this.
You're listening to episode 9 of the Dogs Are People 2 podcast presented by Dingley's. I'm your host, Jariah Dingley, and I believe that anything can be learned. If you believe that's true as well, then keep listening because it's the #1 show to dive into serial learning and bring you the best tips, strategies, and technologies for pet parents. Today on the show, I'm joined by Tina Spring, based out of Athens, Georgia, and she is the owner of Sit Happens Dog Training and Behavior LLC. She is the co-host on Your Family Dog podcast and creator of 90 Days to the Perfect Puppy, longtime Family Paws educator, and Southeast U.S. coordinator for Doggone Safe organization. And today we're talking about how to prevent dog bites with children and overall tips for canine safety. Enjoy the show.
Now, because we're talking about all things dog training today, I just wanted to take a second and tell you a little bit about Dingle Days. If you listen to a few podcast episodes and you enjoy any of our social media content, then you'll love our YouTube channel. With the help of my German Shepherd dog Disney, I walk you through the basics of canine scent work, pet photography, and the best pet technology to complement your productive lifestyle. So head over to YouTube, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel today.
Okay, so that was just her intro, I'm assuming, because that's what it said in what she submitted. So I'm going to go back and read it again. Yeah, I'm looking for feedback on the intro. So Gira, I don't know if you're watching this in our Facebook group or you're watching on YouTube, but my recommendation is going to be very similar to Amy's in that it sounds like to me you have the whole intro in 2 separate chunks. Like I can hear the cadence of the music, or like it's not the cadence, but the music volume is slightly higher in the first 30 seconds as opposed to the last 30 seconds. So my recommendation would be to turn the volume either slightly down or turn like on the music, or turn the volume on your voice a little bit higher, because it sounded like the music is trying to overpower your voice. And I don't know if it was because the clip sounded a little fast. So that's where I'm thinking of the word cadence, because it sounded like the cadence of your voice and the music weren't really flowing. And I think it would just had to do with the volume. So that would be my feedback on the audio. I think it sounds awesome. I think that it was great to introduce like who you are, like a little bit about your dog and what you do, what you're trying to accomplish. Like follow us on YouTube. I think that that's great, especially if you're trying to cross promote channels or social media. I think that it's awesome to include those calls to action as often as you can. But it's also clip, music, then speak. Yeah, so Laura's asking a question. Y'all, my camera is seriously about to die. So give me 1 second. It's like blinking at me. It's like, oh, it's gonna die. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna do one thing and I will be right back. needed just like a midstream break. Oh my gosh, y'all. So I apologize for that. Like I said, I'm getting to know this camera and all the things that it has going on. Yes, everybody's asking, like, how did she do this? What's happening? So this is my other webcam that I have. But yes, I have StreamYard. That's the service that I use that kind of allows me to to pivot whenever I need to when things go a little awry. So I apologize for that. But we're getting back into it. We are absolutely getting back into it. This feels like my normal setup again, and I need to figure out how to not lose my battery. I don't even know what happened, but we're back. Okay, so I have let's go back to Chartable because I wanted to come see, and this is another okay, so this is cool. This is what I wanted to show y'all. So Chartable. Let's go full screen, and I'm going to take this off for a second. So for the podcast, right? We have dogs are people too. When you come down here, if you know this, if you don't know this, okay, so in Poland, and she didn't say specifically where she is located. It would be interesting if she was actually located in Poland, because that would make this really cool that she's ranking in her home country, but it didn't say where she was from. But this is really cool, y'all. So from a marketing perspective, right? We talked about funnels earlier and products and services and everything. What I like about Chartable is whenever you start charting, no matter what country it is, I love that you can actually put this information on your website. Whether you have your own website, you have a Buzzsprout website, or whatever host that you're using, I love that you can put, oh, my pet podcast is top rated in Poland. Or maybe in another country, you can say, oh, in the UK, we are charting at whatever the number is. Like we're in the top 100 of the pet podcast around the world. So there's different ways that you can say this. Obviously, you want to be true to what is actually happening, right? I never am a fan of skewing the data to make you look better, because it's lying. Like that's really what it all comes down to. But I mean, this is really cool. Like you could say you're the top 50 podcast in Poland. Like this is so, so cool. So your category is pets and animals. This is exactly where you need to be. There's not another place. I often get questions about which category I should put my podcast in, because maybe it would fit in 3 different ones. That was the case for my podcast. I think that I was in, business, entrepreneurship for a while. And then I was in business marketing. And then I switched from business to education, how to. And that is what my podcast has been in for about 2 years. And I'm consistently in the top 200 podcasts because of the category that I've chosen. So this is just kind of an aside, because obviously, Gira, like this is exactly where your podcast needs to be. I don't know that there's another category unless it's like lifestyle and hobby. But for those of you that have like a business related, like Amy, with your coaching, would it have more to do with, I'm thinking business entrepreneurship? Are you talking to women that have a business, or just everyday lifestyle for women? So I want y'all to play around with your categories. You can actually choose up to 3, but you want to pick that top spot. Like in your Buzzsprout account, you have 3 options. That top spot should be the one that you want to show up most, because I'm still in entrepreneurship and marketing, but y'all, I'm like 2,000 or 3,000, right? I'm not in the top anything in those categories, because I'm not a marketing podcast. That's not all we talk about on the show. So that doesn't make sense for me to be within that specific category as my top category. So yeah, this is super cool. Very, very cool. Congratulations. Yeah, you said you started in September. You already have a top 50 podcast in Poland in your category. And I think that's really cool. Again, I love that you can come and take screen grabs of all these cool reviews that you can put on your website. I am such a big fan of having your own website. if you're just getting started, plug your ears. You don't need to hear this, okay? You don't need to have a fancy website when you're just getting started. So forget everything I'm about to say, okay? If you just use Buzzsprout, like the free website that you get with them, that's perfectly fine. Don't try to get fancy, okay? This is for 3 months, 6 months down the road, whenever you have your podcast going and you want to kind of level up, like keep going to the next level. That's when I want to see you adding in features of testimonials, like your listeners, your audience members, anybody that really enjoys your content, being able to share this information on your podcast. So these were so awesome. These were so fun. I see all the comments here. Yeah, this is something to think about. So tell me what you're thinking about, Amy. If you're thinking about the categories, is that what that was related to? You're thinking about which category you should be in? Because we can go back and talk about that. We're still here. I have about 10 more minutes. I guess, yeah, till 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So Laura says, I fit all three categories that I just mentioned. Is that what you're saying? Which is why I love seeing your live stream. Yeah, I don't know what these two are in reference to. So you'll have to tell me what that was about. I was wondering about the reviews. How could I use them on my website? Okay. So I'm in the process. Like, don't look at everything here. I'm in the process of redoing my website right now. Like, it's going to be launching April 1st. I'm working with my project manager. Like, this is, as soon as we get finished here, I'm going to be writing copy, finishing about pages and all the new things that are coming, because this has been the same website since I started. But I do want to show you what I'm talking about when it comes to reviews. It's loading. I think it takes everything forever to load whenever I am streaming. So this is what my website looks like. So if you go to crystalprofit.com/podcast, oh, you can't see that. You can't see that because I was up there. So crystalprofit.com/podcast, this is what it looks like. And I just did my artwork. This is kind of my tagline. And then I have the Buzzsprout embedded player right here. So this is the multi-episode player. It has every single episode of the podcast. You can scroll through and see all of them. I have different things that I mentioned here, some free resources, a little bit of my story. And then, so I guess I don't even have it on here. I thought at one point I had some testimonials and reviews like down here in this part of it, but we're going to have that. So that's coming. This is actually something that I'm working on, is we're going to have different reviews of students that I've worked with, clients that I've worked with, and testimonials and reviews from the podcast. So if this was your page, Amy, or if this was, your podcast page, I would do, you have your header, maybe your logo, your tagline, have a way for them to listen to your podcast on the page. And then underneath that, maybe like right here, you could take screenshots of the different ones you have on Chartable. Or if you don't want to use those, you're like, I don't really like the way they look, or they don't match my brand colors, then you could just take that information and add it into your website as just text. Like, take it, and then I always like to put where they come from. So let me go here and go to the Profit Podcast. So when we're here, you can see the different reviews, like, love this show. So what I would do if I wanted to add this as like part of my website, I would put, I love how she speak, very friendly and very helpful, from PayPal or Paya Raj via Apple Podcast. I would put this information right here because people can see it. People are like, oh, well, they're not making this up. Like, this is where you can go to Apple Podcast and actually see these right here. And this is another thing, like, when, we could talk about marketing and testimonials and reviews and all the things, but it's really important that you have actual proof that someone said this about you. Y'all, I cannot tell you how often somebody will say, oh, well, somebody told me that, so I can go put that as a testimonial. And I'm like, no, please don't. No, that's basically, it's kind of like fibbing. I don't want to say it's lying, right? Do y'all have kids? And you're like, there's a difference between a fib and a lie or a white lie. Like, someone could have told you your podcast is amazing, but I wouldn't quote them on it. Say, can I get this in writing? Like, can I get this in an email? Can you go leave me a review? And this is actually another fun thing that we're doing coming up in April. We're going to start a really big giveaway. People have been asking me, how do I get more reviews? How do I, get more people to go on the podcast and do the thing? So we are doing a test. I was going to say a test kitchen. That's what I'm going to call it. It sounds good, right? We're going to do an experiment on getting more reviews doing a giveaway. So I'm doing this one because I want to get more reviews for the Profit Podcast. But two, I want to see what happens. It'll be a big case study. What happens when I ask people to give reviews, how many I got, but also what happens in the charts whenever I got reviews. Because we're always taught, the more reviews you get, the higher you climb in the charts, and it affects the algorithms and all the things. But I am curious to know what y'all want to know about reviews as we go into the month of April. I know y'all are like, Crystal, it's barely March, but I got to think about these things going forward in the future. So when April 1st hits, like, we're hitting the ground running. I already have everything planned out of how this is going to work, what we're going to give away, and all the things. So be on the lookout for that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. So Gira, I hope that I answered any of your questions. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you reach out to me. Send me a DM, send me an email, reach out on YouTube if that's where you found me. But let me know your questions, because this is a lot of fun. So Squarespace. Okay, who hosts your page? So I have WordPress, and right now the current theme that I have is going to be totally different. That's what we're changing. I have a call with my project manager. We're gonna like figure this out today, what the new theme is gonna look like, and we're doing a lot of the back end logistics of backing everything up so the switch goes smoothly. I told her one of my biggest fears is that the website just won't be there one day. So she's like, calm down. She's definitely my security blanket of being like, it's okay. We're gonna walk through this together, and we're going to figure this out, because if I was doing it by myself, I feel like everything would break. I bet you're building them on your sales page or about me page. Yes. So this is another thing, because people ask me often is like, well, I'm just getting started in course creation or coaching. What kind of social proof can I have? Screenshots. I love a good screenshot from social media. Testimonials from here, like I just said, on Chartable. You could put these on your sales page. If you're like, I haven't worked with anybody, I'm like working on it. You can put like, oh, check out what listeners of the Roots Change podcast are thinking about the way that I teach or the way that I approach my processes or anything like that. You could absolutely put that on your sales page or your About Me page. Yes. Yeah, so copy and paste. I felt weird about it. I asked for testimonials for coaching and felt like, am I allowed to just take these? Yes. Okay, so testimonials, I am a very big fan of getting it in an email. I've done these where I've done a Zoom call recording, and then I will take the transcript of that and kind of piece it together in a way that makes sense, right? Because maybe someone said something and they stopped mid-sentence. And so it's not necessarily verbatim what they said. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's better to kind of paraphrase what someone said, but then I send it back to them. I don't just put it out there and say, oh, well, this is kind of what they said. Like, they'll be fine with it. Nope, I don't do that. I'm very careful with testimonials, and I will take them, I will rework them in a way that I believe is what they were trying to say or what they said. And then I will send it back to them in an email and say, hey, can I get your stamp of approval on this to use on my sales page, on my podcast page, or wherever it is that I'm going to use it? But I want to have in writing that they signed off on it and they said, okay. But you also want to make sure that you ask, this is for anybody that's collecting testimonials, ask, do I have permission to share your name? Right? Like, because you don't just want to share someone's name. Maybe they're like, oh, well, you could put Amy L., right? Amy L. from wherever Amy's from. And some people feel more comfortable with that. Some people don't want their whole name out there. Some people are like, yeah, sure. Here's my name. Here's my headshot. Here's where I'm from. Like they want to share all the things because they're cheering you on and they want to see you have a lot of success with what you're doing. So it depends on what kind of testimonial you're trying to create, but that would be my kind of perspective on that. Yeah. Love research, love case studies. Yeah. It's going to be fun. I feel like such a dork. I'm just glad other people love case studies too, for sure. Fingers crossed for the switch. I'm sure it'll be great. I think that for me, it's the anxiety of not knowing. Like it's like everybody else, right? It's like when you start a podcast, you don't really know what you're doing. I've never switched from one theme to the next on WordPress. That's what makes me nervous. I've changed things. I've like deleted whole pages and like, built stuff from scratch and like done all that. But I've never switched from one theme to the next. So the existing content, I'm like, what's going to happen to that? Is somebody going to have to go back and like change a whole bunch of stuff? Because at this point, I want to say I have probably close to 300 posts on my website. So I do not want somebody to have to go back and update 300 posts on the website because one little thing is off. So that's where I am. I'm just like, the more I have it stepped out, and this is what Erin knows, my project manager, she knows. She's like, I know you like detail. I'm going to detail it all out. We're going to work through it, and then we're going to make it happen. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Kathy, I'm so glad you found this helpful. Let me know if y'all have any other questions. I'm gonna hop off here and go record a bunch of episodes and some YouTube videos because we're going to be on spring break next week. So I'm batching a whole bunch of content today. And I got to save my voice. I just realized I'm talking really loud, and that's probably why my voice is strained. So if you listen to the Profit Podcast, the Potty Report, and you're like, Crystal sounds a little bit toned down. She's not as loud. That's why. I can't have all the enthusiasm that I want to have because then I won't be able to speak at all the rest of the week. Yeah, that's exactly what I do for coaching testimonials, the reviews. I've been dragging my feet, unsure if I could just post on my website. Yeah. I would do a last minute, here's what I'm going to add to my website. Can you just reply back? This looks great. This is fine. Yes, this is okay. I would do that before you add it to your site. That way no one has any like, oh, that's not what I said, or you didn't have permission to do this or whatever. Like you just want to dot all your I's, cross all your T's before you get that done. Y'all, happy Thursday. I hope that you have a fantastic day. Like I said, audits will be open again in April. So if you enjoyed this training, all the things that we did today, minus a little camera glitch that we had, let me know in the comments. Tell me that you enjoy this, you're excited for next time, but this was so awesome. So thank you, Amy, and thank you, Gara, for submitting your podcast to be audited. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.